So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiance Okay. I'm Mr. O, and today, Miss H and I will be discussing Season 8, Episode 5 of 90 Day Fiance. In this episode, Rebecca starts to move into a new apartment, Stephanie tells us the convoluted plan to get Ryan money, Julia is done after one day on the farm, Tarik takes Hazel to see the spiritual center where he wants to get married, Mike and Natalie go to a waterfall and fight about meat, and we learn some of the details about Yara and Jovi's past. As always, we'll end with our Students of the Week, class dances, and life lessons. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe. And if you also watch Love After Lockup, you should listen to our other podcast, Love After Lockup Okay. Okay, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you?
Not doing, too bad. We got a new year. Ready
Yes.
for this, definitely ready for that.
Yeah, definitely. So are you off of winter break already?
Yeah, winter break. I was back to work today, and it was just like,
same.
the same slog. Like, this year was a little different. Usually there's like a little uptick. Like, everybody comes back in the new year, like, kind of refreshed with their New Year's resolutions. Today, everybody came back and was just like, I didn't do anything over winter break. We're not, no.
Oh, I fear for winter break because we did a homeroom activity on Desmos, and so they all had to draw a picture. My homeroom had to draw a picture. Let me just tell you, anecdotally, there was a lot of traveling, and there was a lot of things that I was just like, I don't really understand your picture. But a lot of my students went to the snow, which in California means you have to travel there because we just don't have snow. But there was definitely some traveling.
Yeah. So, yikes.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of snow, I'll start off with Mike and Natalie. So Mike and Natalie are feeding the fish, and then Mike says, she's a natural. He's worried about leaving her alone because he has to go back to work. He is a manager at a construction supply store, and it makes it difficult for him to take time off. He's planning on sneaking out early so they can do a weekend trip to Snoqualmie Falls. Mike wants to light a firework for fun, and Natalie is worried that it will literally scare the fish to death. She tells us that she is confused why Mike thinks that's fun because she thinks it's just really strange. She thinks she's starting to learn more about his personality. Mike thinks that the benefit of living out in the woods is, being able to shoot off fireworks. He thinks that she's being paranoid and that she thinks that everything is going to take her out. The next day, the cat is sitting on Natalie's lap, and then Aria, the cat, bites her. Natalie says she hates the cat. She then tries to do some laundry and is confused about how complicated laundry is here. She then mistakes bleach for softener. Softener is the same as whitener, she says. Same. We never really see the results of that, so we can just hope she was talking herself through it.
I hope production told her not to do that. That would have been terrible.
Natalie then video calls her friend Svetlana. Natalie says that, she fell in love with Vacation Michael. She has an airing of grievances, which includes a detailed account about how fish can die from loud noises, Michael ignoring her concerns, the cat, how cold it was, and almost anything else. Natalie tells us that she trusts Michael only a little bit. Natalie says that she put a lot of herself into this relationship, so she thinks she should just give it more time. Natalie overall is unhappy and not having fun. She is sad because she thinks that there's still a chance that it won't work out and she wouldn't know what to do then. We find out that Mike is commuting to Seattle, which is 3 hours away, which is the whole reason why Natalie is alone for so many hours in a day. Natalie wants to move to Seattle, but Mike says it's just way too expensive. Natalie doesn't like the countryside, and we see her cleaning and taking out the trash and doing wifey work. Natalie is really excited for their weekend away. Natalie says she wants to raise concerns with him, but she is afraid how he will react. They make their way to Snoqualmie Falls, and they go to a nice restaurant where they're served by someone who basically has the same voice as Mike. Mike orders a wine and a steak, which goes against Natalie's view of being a vegetarian, and drinking alcohol. Mike is a bit frustrated with the communication between them. Natalie passively aggressively tells him that many animals died to make his meal. Natalie says if he changes his eating habits of 1 week meat on, 1 week meat off, that it'll show that, he can compromise and that he respects her views. He agrees, and that makes her very happy. The next morning, they go to see the falls, and Natalie is finally having fun. She sits on Mike's shoulders as she takes pictures, and they're playfully humming and dancing up and down the stairs. Natalie is clearly in a better mood. That is, until Mike takes them to a brewery for lunch. He orders beer. Natalie once again is passive-aggressively making a comment about the fact that they're at a bar and comments on his meat and alcohol consumption. Natalie is surprised that he ordered meat because she thought their meat challenge started today, and Mike said it was supposed to start next week. Natalie wonders if he'll ever change, and if he doesn't, she said that she will not feel respected. Natalie is shocked that the burger she ordered isn't actually meat. She then decides to bring up their lack of a wedding date. She says that they need to pick a date if they want to make this work, but Mike just kind of shrugs it off and says he really can't right now because he's just not sure, and she just got there. Natalie wants to start making plans because she doesn't want to feel insecure in their relationship. Mike is kind of dismissive, but he does agree to making sure that her mom will be there when it happens. He orders a root beer float because he insists that she needs to try some new American foods, and Natalie is confused by what it is. She tries to sniff it and really kind of mix it around. And in the end, she isn't quite convinced that there isn't any alcohol in it, even though Mike insists several times. But Natalie's consulted the menu, and she's really thrown off by the word beer. Mike doesn't like that she doesn't trust him. Natalie concludes that since it says beer, it must be beer. And once again, Mike dismissively says, well, more for me. All right, so Mike claimed, and Natalie wasn't wrong in this, he said that by the next day he was going to give up meat for the week. And he said he was going to do this the next, he was going to start tomorrow, right? Just like the New Year's workout plan and the New Year's diet. It's like tomorrow.
Right. Tomorrow. Yeah. First weekday of a new year. That's
right. Mm-hmm. So do you think that Mike is ever going to give up meat and follow this kind of meat on, meat off plan that Natalie has for him?
No, I don't think he is. And I think he was justifying it himself. Like, all right, we'll start the challenge tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But since I already had meat today, this clearly means this is meat week. So next week is vegetarian week. Right?
Yeah.
Like, especially not like, I can totally see him like being like, but no, not at a restaurant. That doesn't count. That's not the same. Like, you want me to get vegetarian stuff? You want me to come and spend for vegetarian stuff at the restaurant?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Like, we'll do it at home.
Yeah. For the record, I also want to point out that Natalie is not vegetarian. She's very clearly pescatarian. So that might be just a translation thing.
But scallops aren't fish. So what is that?
I think pescatarian, I interpreted that as just a seafood.
Seafood.
Yeah, seafood.
Okay, at all seafood. What about people who don't eat fish but would eat like scallops? Or because at some point, and that's what gets me, at some point you are eating a living thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that she's not eating a living thing. I think some people kind of draw the line at what they think is like evolved, closer to people, right? So
right.
mammals being closer to people than fish. Right.
But I don't know. It's weird that there's not a word for people who don't eat vertebrate. They will eat anything that's not a vertebrate, right? Because fish are vertebrates. I know, it's just weird. Because pescatarian is probably the closest thing I can come up with.
Well, she even said to him that, she would cook him fish. So when they were kind of talking about, their week off of meat, she said, okay, well, she's like, I'll make you some fish. So it definitely seemed like the week off wasn't necessarily like vegetarian. It was more pescatarian.
Sure. But like, yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him giving up like meat. Like I don't see it. I don't see him giving up like the alcohol. And I really didn't like how judgy she was about him having a glass of wine and a beer. Like that was like
same time,
super judgy.
From what we know of her, are you surprised at all? She was incredibly judgy of Mike when they were, doing the before the 90 days, and they were. just religion, working out, their eating habits, the drinking habits. It's like all these things Natalie has a problem with Mike. And Mike, in like kind of his defense, is very happy-go-lucky. He's very accepting of Natalie's differing views, and he's not trying to change her.
Yes, but she's trying to change him.
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely trying to change him, which is kind of like, well, I don't think that's, I get that, there is no perfect person out there for, no one's going to be perfect and no one's going to be perfect exactly how they are. There's always going to be something that you maybe not so happy with, but you're willing to live with. It's just, there seems to be too many things for Natalie.
Right. Because she weirdly has a large number of like deal breaker-y things.
Yeah.
And I thought was funny because she was so worried about like the fish and he's going to kill the fish, which apparently she eats. So I don't know why she cares if the fish get killed. Yeah. But like, you're going to kill the fish with the fireworks. But then like the cat shows up and she's like, get this goddamn cat bullshit.
She really hates that cat. Okay. And in her defense with the cat very clearly does not like her either. If you looked at the look on that cat's face, I don't know, maybe cats just always look angry, but that cat looked super angry.
But like, okay, so here's how I know that apartment is legitimately cold. Because that cat that clearly hates her was sitting on her lap.
Right.
That cat was like, yeah, listen, I hate you, lady, but your lap is warm, so I'm here. That's.
And guess what? I'm going to give you my grump face while I sit on your lap.
The fireworks were so weird to me because whatever. I feel like that's what like a 13-year-old boy would like living about the country.
Sure.
I could set off fireworks, but he was setting off the fireworks and didn't seem particularly excited about them. Like he had this like kind of bored look on his face as he was like firing the fireworks up in the air. It's like, you don't see that into it, man.
I've never heard of fish dying from loud noises.
So okay, so there is like generally an illegal way to fish is by throwing dynamite in the water.
Oh,
but
that's weird.
But that's not the fish dying because of a loud. That's a concussion. It's like they die like from the impact, the shockwave of it's a concussive force that kills them. It's not like they're not gonna die. Now sometimes fish can hear like a loud noise and like. Because I think mice can do this too, where if you scare them enough, they will give themselves a heart attack.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how fish work. It's probably not a heart attack.
Do fish even have hearts?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay. You would think I would know this, but...
You would think, biology is not our thing. We are not anatomy or...
No, we are definitely not.
But like, okay, I was the bleach thing though. Oh my God. I was like, you can't. This is why I couldn't work for a reality show, because she opened the cabinet and saw bleach, and I was like, no. And I was like, if I was the producer, I'd have been like immediately, but like
slapped it out of her hand.
Yeah, just no. Like, and I feel like she probably. I'm always certain she didn't, because if she opened it, once she opened it and she smelled it,
yeah,
and she'd be like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt like that was all kind of being played up. Like, laundry in America is so complicated and confusing. What do I do?
The stupid front-load washing machines can be overly complicated. Like, I like my old-timey, like it's like a friggin', horse and buggy. But I just want to turn my dial to the right thing and hit on. I don't want there to be 5 different buttons.
For a washing machine?
Yeah.
My washing machine's like that, and it's like pretty new. I've only had it for a couple years, and it's an LG, and it literally has a dial, and you can select which of the things. And if you want to override it, then there's an option too. But like if you don't, like me, I'm pretty basic. I'm just like, okay, turn the dial, hit play, we're done.
Whatever. I just know I've only ever used them when I go to somebody else's house, and they're always like, all right, hold on. This is the dial we want to use, but when you hit that dial, you want to make sure you hit this 2 buttons over here too, because those want to make sure those lights are on. Then you got to hit play. And after you hit play, you have to stay and make sure it latches before it goes. I'm like, this is like, I just want to.
I have a really easy one. And the best part about my washer machine is the song it plays when everything is done.
Yeah, I don't like the songs.
Oh, I love the song. Someone else was over when my song was going off on my dishwasher, I think. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's my dishwasher. They're like, why does it do that?
Well,
I like when they play songs.
the reason, and this is the part of the reason, to me, the songs seem weird because I have just a bunch of old-ass appliances. And you don't need a song to tell you when it's over because you can clearly hear it when it's done. When my dishwasher is done, the thunderous, loud noise that's coming out of the kitchen stops. And I don't need a song to tell me that it stopped.
Mine, actually, I do need a song because I have a very silent dishwasher.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. My dryer is the same way. Like, I know when the whoa, 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 when that stops, it's done. I don't need a buzzer or a song to tell me that.
I think it's an Asian thing. Like, Asian appliances usually sing songs when they're done. Because I would say rice cooker also sings a song.
My rice cooker just clicks and the light turns off.
Is it an Asian rice cooker?
It's whatever the cheapest ass rice cooker on Amazon was.
Oh, well, I'm just telling you, all the Asian like companies, appliances that I have in the house sing songs to me, and I like it.
All right. I think we got sufficiently off course with that one.
We definitely did.
Actually, then, now that we're speaking about appliances and kitchens and things, let's go to Rebecca and Zied.
Okay.
So Rebecca has decided against moving in with her daughter and her fiance. So instead, she had to find a place in a hurry. The place she got looks like it's some sort of like converted warehouse or studio space or something that has been converted to apartments. Because, there's like random poles all over the place in the apartment, as in like right next to the oven and right next to the front door. Anyway, right now, most of her stuff is in storage and she hasn't had a chance to go get it yet. So the apartment's not going to be ready when Zied gets there tomorrow. She's excited for the apartment, but very worried that Zied will not approve because it's not even this apartment, it's the building she lived in when she lived with her ex that is such a big deal about Zied. But anyway, he's going to get here tomorrow, and all she has is a mattress on the floor and dishes in the cabinet. She worries that he won't be able to assimilate, not just to America, but also to living life without his parents, friends, and family. So she does think that there is a small chance he won't get on the plane. Switching over to Tunisia, Zied's whole family is coming with him to the airport to say goodbye. So her sister Wiem tells us her concern that this is a bad idea because Zied seems more invested in the relationship than Rebecca. Hedy, his brother-in-law, talks about how it's going to be, a lot of trouble, but who is he to tell Zied who to love? Before he goes, he takes selfies with everyone, and there's much crying and much hugging before he leaves. So, let's talk about this. Do you think that was Zied's the first plane he's been on?
It's hard to tell because, I'm going to say yes. I was going to say, it's hard to tell because he did kind of seem like maybe this wasn't the first time. Like, he seemed confident enough, right? He didn't seem like, what's going on? I don't know. But then given his lack of work history, he doesn't seem incredibly worldly in general. I'm going to say that this isn't something that he frequently does.
Yeah, so there was two clues that I was like, I don't think he's done this it very much at all. One was the fact that everybody came to the airport with him. Yeah. Like, we're going to the airport? Let's bring the whole crew. Let's go, right? And second, he was dressed really nice. And I feel like people who are more experienced at traveling, like, I'm going to be on this plane for whatever. I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm not messing with that, right?
Actually, I wonder if that's a country thing. Because there are still other countries where it's a thing to, like, kind of dress up, like, to be on a flight. And what I find kind of interesting about that is if you read some of these airlines, they're mostly not or international companies, right? If you really read some of these airlines like code of conduct and stuff like that, you're not supposed to be wearing sweats and things like that. I mean, I don't think anyone actually follows that. But if you read their like customer code of conduct, you're supposed to be dressed nicely. So yeah, it could be one of those things where, maybe he read that and was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be wearing sweats or comfortable, not comfortable.
Right.
Be,
but yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
but
there's a dress code. Yeah, there's a dress code. They're going to kick me off like they keep me at a restaurant. Sure.
Right. So maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I can't imagine that he has been on a plane before.
Yeah. So there's that. And things that did happen before, though, is Rebecca is always like dreaming up these secrets, like manufacturing these secrets that she has to keep from him. It's super annoying.
It's stupid too, because it's like, do you even remember the secret she had from the first one? It was like, this one time I had a lesbian encounter. It's like, that's a secret. All right.
It was like weird. He was like very, very concerned about it. And it was like, we weren't even sure how far along this lesbian encounter went.
Or how long ago it was. It's like, oh, just one time in my life, I had a lesbian encounter, and I know your religion does not allow for that. It's just like, okay, so this is some big, dark secret. All right.
Right. But this one is like, I used to live in this building with somebody else.
Yeah, and another, she was just like, well, if he finds out, he's going to be really... How would he ever find out?
Right. Why would he? It's one of those things that I'm like not even sure you would share it, because she compared it to when she told him they were technically still married. And he was like, he was really upset about that. And I was like, because that's something you get upset about. Like, how divorced are you is definitely something to get upset about.
Right.
Like, I used to live in this, again, I can even see if it was the same apartment, kind of. Right. But like, just I lived in the same building with him. Like, no, that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, she isn't that wrong in remembering that Zied got kind of weirdly jealous over some bizarre things.
Sure.
Like, he definitely
right.
had a couple moments of like, you got freaked out over that? Like, I don't really understand what the issue is.
Are you looking at her tattoos? We're going to fight.
Yes.
Right
and
now.
I'm just like, okay, calm yourself. He probably was just like, oh, I never see a lady with tattoos. Not like, I want to bang your girl because that's the look I'm giving.
Right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was Wiem said that like Zied is more invested in this than Rebecca is.
Maybe
Do you think that's true?
I think maybe in coming to America. Because he definitely wants to be in America, like a lot. And I almost want to say that it seems to me in some bizarre way, I don't know where I picked up on this. I think it was something in their first season, but I can't remember exactly, that he wants to be an actor. Because wasn't he doing like bit extra parts and stuff? And I think that's like what he wants to do.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember that. But that's when I feel bad for people who come from other countries. They're like, I'll go to America. It's like, yeah, but you're going to Georgia.
Yeah, I know.
Not really a big acting community you're gonna run into there, man.
Oh no, actually there is.
Oh no, in Atlanta proper, they film a lot of stuff in Atlanta.
They do. True. I mean, you always see the Georgia peach thing at the end, right? So there's a lot of
because they make it basically free.
Yeah,
like we'll give you money. Film here.
Yeah, so I don't know. All right, let's move on to Tarik and Hazel. So Tarik is excited to show Hazel how they eat in America. They're driving to Hair of the Dog, and Hazel remarks on how clean and uncrowded the streets are. But she's confused if they are serving dog or if they use the hair as seasoning at this particular restaurant. Tarik is in teacher mode, trying to teach Hazel the appropriate foods for breakfast, which include things like pancakes and waffles and French toast and eggs, but they do not include rice. Hazel isn't very hungry, but Tarik insists she has to at least sample everything. Tarik then lays out the plan for the day, which includes looking at some potential wedding venues. Hazel feels like she needs more time to adjust to things before jumping into wedding planning. Hazel says her parents want to get married, them to get married in a church, and Tarik says her parents aren't going to be there, so they can do what they want. Hazel asks if he's scared of church, and Tarik says he's scared of her church, as we get a recap of their church service, which included a lot of overly enthusiastic praise and people speaking in tongues. Tarik and Hazel try French toast, and he asks her what she thinks of it, and she says it's just way too sweet. She believes she will be fat and chubby here because food is too sweet, salty, and greasy. Tarik then tells her that Ari, his daughter, will be arriving tomorrow, and Hazel is worried that Ari won't like her. Tarik assures her that Ari will like her, but then also tells us privately in an interview that he is also worried. He warns Hazel that it won't be easy all of the time. And Hazel is worried that taking care of a special needs child may be too hard for her, and it may ruin their relationship. Tarik takes Hazel to what he refers to his church, which is not a church, of the ARE. Tarik says he's been going there for 17 years. Hazel thinks it's weird and she doesn't want to get married there. Tarik tries to sell it hard, and Hazel insists that it's not a church, which is where she wants to get married. Tarik thinks that, like it's a benefit that it's not a church. Hazel is a bit frustrated that he's not listening to her, but she says that she will think about it. All right, so I know that you are the person who does research. What the heck is the ARE? Tell me all about it. It is
the Association for Research and, what was the last one? Enlightenment.
Yes.
Right? It's basically, it looks like it's basically the spiritual center that this psychic guy came up with. It's
not a religion, thing. It's just like a resource center, right?
Yeah, but they do have like they do yes and no. It's not, I don't know that they have services or anything like that, but they had meditation rooms, and if you looked around, there was a picture of the chakras over here next to a picture of Jesus, and so it's like, it's a thing of all faiths, but like based on this guy's psychic experiences, which he made it sound like he sat on this couch like Professor X and could got in his magneto and started in his cerebro and connected with people around the world through all different things.
I definitely got the impression it was kind of like Baby Yoda, like channeling the Force and then getting tired and falling asleep, because didn't he say something about that?
Well, yes, but he wasn't doing Baby Yoda stuff. He was connecting mentally with people at a distance. It was it's like Professor X. That's it. But he was really pumped about that giant crystal.
Yeah, he was.
I lost it at the giant crystal.
Oh my gosh. It did kind of look church-ish.
It looks like a rocket.
Oh, no, the crystal. I meant that room. And it had a nice view. He wasn't wrong about that.
It did have a nice view, and but it was like, and the thing was, he was stained glass. I was like, those are curtains. That is not stained glass. Yeah. Those windows. But I totally was on her, and it's definitely one of those places that sounds like, and I'm not saying no judgments on what it is because I don't know enough about the ARE. To know, but it definitely sounds like one of those places that they have to say it's not a cult. Right. Like people, I'm sure that's one of the first things when you start explaining it, you have to be like, blah 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 blah. It's not a cult. Blah 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 blah.
Oh my god.
So I could see Hazel being like, this is weird. Now, granted, the church that we saw in the flashback wasn't exactly your typical Roman Catholic church.
Oh, no.
Just like a when people say they want a church ceremony. So I don't know how they're going to be able to find what her parents are looking for here,
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I do feel like she needs to be open to it, just as Tarik is open to her church. But I also think it's okay at the end of the day to kind of not be on the same page of where they want to get married, but they're gonna have to come to some compromises. And okay, so I kind of question a little bit, does Hazel really value and prioritize her religion? Because she seemed to for a hot second in the before the 90 days when they were on this. But it seems to me that a lot of what she's kind of doing in life would go against their religious beliefs and practices.
Oh, you mean with all the polyamory and
having a child out of wedlock? There's a lot of things, right?
Yeah. So yes, I guess, I don't know. It was one of those things. She seemed like she didn't say she wanted to get married in a church. She said her parents wanted her to get married in a church.
Sure.
Which I don't know, he kind of dismissed it, but I thought, like, that's not unreasonable to be like, listen, I'm going to America. We're going to get married there. And to be like, could you at least throw us a bone and get married in a church?
Yeah. He's like, well, they're not going to be there, so we can get married wherever we want.
We can do whatever we want and eat our sugar on top of sugar.
Oh, gosh.
More sugar on it.
Oh, gosh. I get it. They don't really, if I think about, like, the times I've been in Asia, and I haven't been to the Philippines, it's like, their desserts aren't even very sweet. Like, that kind of bothers me, like, because they put bean paste and everything, and I hate bean paste. It's like, that's not meant to be a dessert.
Yeah, no, it's like, well, I mean, it's like the freaking, there was a huge thing on Twitter about, like, the British people with their beans on toast for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, why don't Americans do this? Beans are delicious. Toast is delicious. And it's like, no. Like, but yes, American breakfast, everyone from all over the world, no matter where they come from, is like, why are you having dessert for breakfast? Mm-hmm. Like, it is ridiculously sweet. Like, and even the stuff that's not sweet, they sweeten up. Like, the chicken and waffles isn't particularly sweet as is, but then you're like, nah, we got to drench it in syrup. And the syrup isn't even like pure maple syrup. It's just like corn syrup with liquid smoke in it. Like, that's all we're putting on things.
Yeah, but I get it. Like, you got to ease her into that. Like, that's way too
You
sweet.
do. And I was like, and especially when she was like, all she wanted was rice.
Yeah,
like,
get her grits.
Like, get her grits.
Comparable.
The grits is a good choice. Yeah. Some sort of grain. Like, I don't know, give her some oatmeal or something like that. You don't have to go right on in for, what is it with French toast? Like, this is the second person in this season who is like, I would like to introduce you to American breakfast. French toast. Like, that is not the first thing I would think of for American breakfast, especially if I was going for like a Southern breakfast, like in the South.
Yeah.
Like, you get grits and you get biscuits and gravy. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. No one's had biscuits and gravy, although he did order chicken and waffles.
Yes, I'll give you chicken and waffles. Mm-hmm. But chicken and waffles is like weird because it's one of those, it's a weird combination. It's a unique combination to the South, but everybody has, everybody. Waffles are international. Chicken is international. It's just that weird, like, putting them together for breakfast. That seems uniquely American South. But yeah, I would have went for biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's because I almost always go for biscuits and gravy if I'm getting a greasy breakfast like that.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, let's talk Yara and Jovi.
Okay.
So the rug that caused such trouble last week has finally arrived from Amazon. Jovi hopes that, as the rug comes, that he recognizes that they're both pretty selfish, and he's hoping that, two selfish people should be able to make it work, because there's lots of selfish people all over the place. Yara says the rug looked like snow, and she's happy the place is starting to look a little more homey and a little less disgusting. Yara now has a new rule, which is a rule that, in my experience, leads to many fights online. You have to take off your shoes when you come to the house, so as not to ruin this beautiful white rug. He asks her what else she wants. They kind of talking about, like, you have everything you want? What else do you want? And she has an exaggerated list, including being married to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ooh.
Which, I mean, yeah, I can't think of too many people who would turn that down. Anyway, which Jovi takes in stride as he, is drinking his standard Bud Light. But at the end of the day, what she really wants is Yara does not want to live in New Orleans, and Jovi doesn't want to live anywhere else. But then they just kind of stop talking about that as if the issue was going to go away. It's tricky because, and now we're getting to the tricky part where she's going to be alone in this city when he goes to work soon. But Jovi has the perfect way to make this up for her and to get conversation into a better place, and that's to give her new iPhone, which she loves, and even though he sucks at taking pictures, or at least inadequate pictures. But soon it's the day before Jovi leaves, so he and Yara are going out to dinner to ask, and, as they're walking, they're both like, how do I look? How do I look? Do you look good? It's weird. Anyway, they get there, and the waiter says it's happy hour, which is good for Jovi. Then they start the conversation about how how do you feel about me going to work? He says that he's going to give his mom Yara's number so that she can text or call. But Yara is really concerned about, how she's going to live a life where her only friend is her mother-in-law. She really wants to meet people with her own age. Jovi says it's important that Yara and his mom get along, especially because he wants to start a family here in Louisiana soon. Yara has some real issues with that starting a family in Louisiana soon, especially since his current schedule would mean that he would leave her with the kids for like 4 weeks on and 4 weeks off. To which his response is, what's the problem with that?
God.
Jovi says not everything is so easy, despite the fact that, his life would barely change at all if he was having kids. This whole conversation, it's really close to home for Yara because, as we remember, Yara had recently lost a pregnancy, and she needed some surgeries afterwards to deal with complications. And at one point, she went in for an operation in Albania, in another country, because she had lost her passport and she needed the operation. And right before she left, Jovi had left her in Albania to have a surgery by herself.
Ridiculous. I hate this
She
guy so
openly
much.
and tearfully wonders how she can trust him to support her with a future pregnancy or with children if he already did that. So in an interview, we learned that they both have very different ideas about how that whole situation went down. Mm-hmm. Jovi's defense is that when he left, she didn't need the surgery. So how was he supposed to know that this kind of thing would happen? And he didn't expect it to come up a year and a half later. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's pretty low key. If you weren't, I feel like if this is one guy, like if you were just watching the vibe of the show and weren't really paying attention to what anybody was saying, you wouldn't think he was that bad. But like, he's always a huge dick.
Oh, he is the worst. He is so selfish. And so at the beginning of their segment, they're kind of talking about, he says, like, being selfish is okay. Everybody's a little selfish. And I feel like that mentality in itself is why he sucks. Because he justifies his selfishness. He's like, well, everybody's selfish, so it's okay that I'm selfish. It's like, yeah, but you don't even try not to be selfish. It's like, work on yourself. Be better.
Yeah, I mean, I find that's true with almost every negative personality trait that people have. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever, everybody else is this. And it's like, are they, though?
Yeah, and you may be right. Everybody has moments of selfishness. People have moments of lying. People have moments where they're not good people. Uh-huh. But at the same time, it's like, you're still striving, and it should be an exception, not the rule.
Right. Yeah, I mean, oh my God. I mean, I can't imagine. Forget if she had the operation, right? Could you leave your significant other just in another country? Oh, you forgot your passport? Tough shit. Later.
Yeah. Oh, God, he's the worst.
It's terrible.
I can't even imagine that. She is completely. To me, I know that, Yara has her faults, but to me, it's like she's a God-sent angel for dealing with this asshole. I don't understand why she's dealing with him.
I really have trouble with Yara's faults where I'm like, is it really a fault, or is this her defense mechanism and the way she dealing with this colossal asshole?
Oh, yeah, no, I think Yara's, to be honest, I think she's great. She's funny, she's cute, she's, she tries. I mean, she's trying.
Yeah, she is. I actually do really like Yara. And I kind of feel like part of the reason, the only thing, the whole, I don't want to live here. And I think that's because I think he really pumped up New Orleans as a glamorous city. Mm-hmm. It's New Orleans. People come because he thinks it is. People come here from all over the country, and Mardi Gras, and the parties. It's like everybody wants to live in New Orleans. It's great. It was a thing, and it has its thing and it has its vibe, but it's a hit or miss thing. It's not for everybody.
Oh, right. I thought it was super cute how she was just calling it a village. And then I thought it was even more cute that she was like, I'm sorry everyone who lives there. I don't like it. But that's to me is what makes her endearing. It's like, you can not like something, but she's really cute about stuff.
Yeah, she is. She is. Much more cuter than, well, are you going to leave me alone with the kids?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what's the problem with that? What's the problem with that?
Oh my gosh. So, okay, actually, it's kind of funny. I knew someone who actually did a 90-day fiance situation with a guy from, where was he from? Belgium. And he worked on a boat, and that's actually how they met. She was actually vacationing in the place where his boat was stationed. So he did a 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, just like, Jovi. And they had a kid. And it was really interesting because, you know, he didn't really have to take care of the kid by himself until he had come back, I think, right after they had gotten married. And it was him by himself with this kid, and he like freaked out. He's like, it's way too much work. It's like, what do you think your wife is doing the 4 weeks you were away?
4 weeks.
At least your wife is here. You just have to take care of the kid during the day because she was working.
Yeah. Like, forget about all that and then coming home. It's just, and he does another classic asshole move was, that's how I grew up. I'm great.
It's
like,
you're
are you?
not great. There
You're
should be
not okay. You're actually not. I turned out fine. It's actually you didn't turn out fine. That's kind of the problem here.
Yeah, we need to avoid getting more views. Okay, so what I thought was kind of funny about their argument, whether or not shoes in or out, was Yara brought up a very excellent point. She's like, you know, you come in here with the shoes and there's pee in the street and blah, blah, and then he claims no one pees on the street in New Orleans. It's like false. Of all the streets in all the world, if you had to guess which one had the most urine.
Yes, it would be Bourbon Street. Because she took her there, and when she was there, she literally said, it smells like pee. Like, this street smells like pee.
Although, you know, a kind of a random funny thing is my friend, whose husband was the Belgian guy, she said that of all the family friends that she met of her husband's, she said that she realized that, I don't know if it's a Belgian thing or a Europe thing, but she said that they were perfectly comfortable with like finding a quiet spot and peeing on the street.
Weird.
And she kept on, she would have to tell them when they were here, you can't do that in America. You're gonna get arrested.
Yeah, you're going to give trouble with the law if you do that. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just one of those things that comes up, and it's just the shoe thing comes up every once in a while. It's just Americans just don't think about it. Right. We don't. It's like, we don't think it doesn't even occur to us to take off our shoes.
Sure.
Like, and so it's just and so I just have people like, it's so blah, blah. It's just like, it's not something that's on our radar.
Yeah.
So I get where he's coming from. And he was like, and he wasn't like, I could totally see some guys being assholes about it. But like, it's my house. I'll leave on my shoes if I want to. He was like, all right. Well, I guess I'll try.
Well, I feel like he has to know that she's right? So he's like, I'm going to say that no one pees on the street, but he has to know. He is probably like public
he is definitely
offender
peed
number
on that
one.
Totally.
He's like, oh yeah, I have peed on the street a bunch, haven't I? Oh my goodness. Okay. So I want to talk about their fight for a second. So just like, I think how they fight or how this fight went down, I think is really not productive. So it seemed to me that he was really defending what he thought was factual. And he got really caught up in like what actually happened. And it's like, I don't care what you think actually happened, right? And I don't care that what you think happened is different from what Yara thinks happened. Right? Because they were fighting over, like, did he know? At what point did he know? When did he leave? You know, it's like, it's the fact that you left. And it's like, he's not focused on what she's really mad at. It wasn't that, you know, she was mad at the fact that he had no choice and that, you know, like all these other things that keeps on like throwing in there. It's like, that's not what you're fighting over. And I don't think he gets that. So
no, but it's just, he didn't get why they were fighting over the rug either.
Oh,
he was just like, but I don't understand. I don't like that rug. And it was like, oh my God. It was all the things surrounding that.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, and from where I'm sitting too, it's like, I almost kind of wish she would concede the point. Great. You didn't know I was going to emergency need that surgery.
Right.
You knew I needed that surgery. You knew I couldn't get back to my home country.
Right. You couldn't
and
come
you still
back.
left.
Yeah. Or you couldn't have left in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. It's like, I feel like Yara is struggling to communicate exactly what's wrong, and Jovi's getting hung up on these kind of pointless details.
Right. Yeah. That's totally true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even dismissive, because then he's frustrating because he's the kind of person that's like, all right, fine, I'm done fighting. Whatever. Sure.
Right. And
fine.
his way
like,
of saying that is to like apologize. And like he has apologized to her a few times now, but they seem so empty. They don't seem sincere at all. He's just like, I'm sorry I did that, but, and then comes out with some reason why, and then it's just like, but it's not a sincere apology. He doesn't even say what he's sorry for.
Yep, I have that with my daughter right now. I'm dealing with. She apologizes for everything, and I'm like, "Are you really sorry about that?" Like, I'll yell about, "Oh, you left your dishes on the table or something," but I don't even yell about it. I just say her name, and before she even sees what's wrong, she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I'm like, that doesn't mean anything when you just said that. You don't even know what was wrong, and you're already saying, "I'm sorry," right? And it's kind of a similar thing. And it seems empty. It's like it stops being like. It becomes like more a part of the problem. Like you're not even like saying anything meaningful. You just want it to you just want this to stop.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, maybe not even part of the problem, but it's not part of a solution, right? So how can you move forward if a person doesn't really know what's wrong? Because if you don't really know what's wrong, how can you be aware for change in the future? It's like you can't be if you don't know. Like your daughter, it's like, well, she can say she's sorry, but she doesn't know what she's sorry for. How is she going to know to put away the dishes in the future?
Right.
Right. So, yeah. All right. Moving on to what do we have here? Oh, Stephanie and Ryan, which actually wasn't very long at all.
No.
I felt like it was just basically a big advertisement for Stephanie and her med spa situation, but Stephanie is pimping out her products and her med spa experience. Stephanie's cousins Ryan and Shannon come in for treatments and to gossip. Shannon shares that she is pregnant with a boy, and she asks Stephanie if there's any life-changing news on her end. Stephanie tells them as soon as the borders open, she'll be taking a trip to Belize for her formal proposal. She is going to give Ryan her mother's ring for him to propose to her with. Ryan and Shannon just smile politely, like nod and smile. Ryan tells us that she is concerned that Stephanie is being used financially. They raise concerns with Stephanie and her assistant friend, Pam. Their primary concern is that, Ryan's younger and from another country. Stephanie doesn't assure them as she tells them that she's basically been supporting his entire family and gives them about $1,300 a month in essentials. She wants him to have self-esteem over it, so she hasn't outright given him the money. Instead, she has a friend who has hired Ryan to work at his resort, and she has an agreement with this friend where Stephanie actually is the one paying Ryan's wages. So Ryan doesn't even know that she's the one giving him money. Stephanie justifies this relationship, saying she has never wanted to marry anyone in her life except for Ryan. The cousins are skeptical, but in the end, they just wish her luck and ask her to send pictures. All right, so Stephanie kind of has this thing where it's like, it must be meant to be because I've never had this feeling before. So why do you think that Stephanie has never felt like she wanted to marry anyone before, but Ryan is somehow the one?
I don't know. I almost feel like, I don't know if she's confused between what you're supposed to feel like when you want to marry somebody and what you feel like when you feel like a mom, because she seems to be a little of both here. Right? She has this weird like maternal thing, but I can't figure out, because we haven't seen Ryan, right? And we haven't seen them with Ryan.
Right.
So I don't know what it is that is like, like I certainly see by what we've seen with Ryan, I certainly see why she wants to hang out with him. I certainly see why she wants to hook up with him all the time. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know why this is the one that made me forsake my banishment of marriage and make me want to get married now, when he just seems like, I don't know, everything we've seen makes him seem like a boy toy that's, has a sugar mama, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to me, I don't know. And maybe this is me being somewhat cynical. Maybe this, and then also take it with a grain of salt, because I am someone who is not married and never been married, But I kind of like, the way I kind of see relationships is I kind of feel like there's, at some point, you're choosing and really choosing to be with someone. And the reason why I say a choice is because feelings to me only last so long. Like this feeling of like love, like I just irrationally love this person so much and I don't know. And I think people like, I guess you could say that's being in love with someone, right? Kind of this irrational love. And then at some point that is going to fade, or, it's going to ebb and flow, right? You're going to have moments where you irrationally love someone more than other times. And at that point, it needs to be a choice. And so I guess my real curiosity is here is, what about Ryan has made her choose this guy? Like, this is the guy I want to hitch my wagon to for the rest of my life.
Right, but it almost seems like the way she describes it, she hasn't chose. It's been chosen for her. Like, all of a sudden, this guy came in and this is it. Like, oh, I was swept off my feet and that's it. Like, the universe changed my mind about everything.
Oh, yeah. She does believe in psychics.
Yeah.
Maybe her psychic told her. Although I doubt that psychic friend told her. That psychic friend.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, definitely, she's
one.
Definitely someone who believes in, like, the one and soulmates. Yeah. Definitely believes in soulmates, right?
I don't know, because I feel like someone who believes in soulmates, one, probably would have tried to do something about it earlier on in life, right? Because I also feel like people believe in soulmates feel that
they look for their soulmate.
That they have to do something to find their soulmate. Their soulmate isn't necessarily just going to sit there. And I feel like it's easier to be single for the rest of your life, or kind of have this mentality that I'm going to be bachelor or bachelorette for life, if you're kind of like, wow, well, there's not necessarily someone out there for me, right? If you kind of had that mentality, you'd be like, oh, I'm okay being by myself, because why am I going to deal with a bunch of idiots?
At the end of the day, she just seems infatuated with the guy. Plus, she also has, like, this sunk cost fallacy going with him, right?
Oh my gosh,
like, she feels like, because I already been giving him money, like, I gotta keep doing it. I'm all in now, like, you know, which is totally wrong. All right, we need to talk about this financial situation because it irrationally angered me so much. I was screaming at the TV. If you want to help. Okay, so at the end of the day, reiterate what she's doing. She's giving money to her rich friend.
Yes.
Because they own a resort, her loaded friend, you know.
Which I don't understand. He's legitimately employed. Why isn't the friend paying?
Right. So at the end of the day, what you're doing to support your boyfriend is giving your rich friend free labor. You're giving your rich friend something for nothing. Because you want to support your boyfriend. Just give your goddamn money to the boyfriend. Forget the self-esteem bullshit. Don't transfer your money to the richest person on the island and call that charity.
I actually disagree with you there. I think it is smart of her if she's going to give him money to do it through a means of... And okay, maybe it's because, like, I don't know, single woman, right? But I do think that there are certain men, and I'm not saying all men, there's men that are a lot more open-minded about this, but there are men out there that aren't as progressive that do feel like their worth is tied up in, you know, being able to provide for their family, right? And right now, his family isn't really necessarily Stephanie. It's like his actual, like, biological family, right? And so if he's getting money from Stephanie directly to support his family, it's like, well, is that really him supporting his family? You know, but by him working through it, I get that she thinks that it will help with his self-esteem. Now, I feel like the whole arrangement is super weird. I'm not saying anything against that. Super weird. Why can't he just have a job? Why does she have to be involved in any of this?
Why does she have to pay the wages? If she's going to pay the wages, why doesn't she pay him? Why doesn't she pay him to start up a friggin' food truck or something like that he can do as a job? Like, give her the seed money for that. Pay the money so he can have his business or something like that that he can do. Because to me, I mean, the only part, and this is the stupid progressive, you know, East Coast elite liberal whatever of me being like, wait a second. The only person getting something free out of this situation is the rich person who needs it the least.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't understand the situation at all. If he legitimately has a job with the hotel, I don't understand, like, why she's paying his wages unless there's a situation where maybe the job that he is doing for the hotel isn't worth as much. And so he's getting overpaid.
My interpretation was her friend said, I don't need any more. I don't need to hire anybody else. I don't need anybody else. And she says, well, hire him. And here, I'll give you the money for it. Right.
It's like, how good of a friend is this then?
Yeah.
Like,
how good of a friend is that? That they're
job.
Like, whatever, I'll take your money, crazy lady.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not a bizarre situation. It's a very bizarre situation.
Yes. I was so mad about that.
And
mad about that.
I was actually maybe more angered with the ring situation. It's
Okay.
like, you know, just the whole proposal and the ring situation. It's like, I don't understand why he has to propose with the ring that you're providing for him.
Yeah, that's a weird situation too.
Yeah. And it's like, but you know it's going to happen because you're the one having to provide the ring. So why can't we just all skip this charade? Just wear the stupid ring. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, you know, especially if you like it. Wear the stupid ring. Why does he have to be the one to give it to you?
Yeah. Why are you going to give it to him so he can give it back in a couple of days?
Right.
Like, yeah.
It's all
I don't
charade.
see good things going down. I definitely see her giving him the ring and then being like, where the hell's the ring? Why didn't I get my ring back yet? Where's my ring?
When is he going to propose? Oh, it's not happening yet? Oh, goodness. All right.
So,
Last
all
up.
right. Oh, yes. Brandon and Julia.
Yes.
All right. So Brandon is up bright and early at 4:30 a.m. to go to work,
Sucks.
leaving Julia with just the family friend Aspen, who's going to help her on her first day of the farm. Julia is still upset about the bedroom situation, but Brandon tells us that she did manage to sneak into Brandon's room for some freaky time. 7 hours later, which, do the math, is 11:30, Julia wakes up alone on the farm and upset that when she looks out the window, well, there's his animals. The only people on the farm with her is animals. So she goes out to try to do the farm work, like, you know, getting the eggs out of the chicken coop. After a few tries, she manages to get one of the eggs out, but then is afraid the other chicken is going to bite her because they're in the egg-laying section of the coop. Anyway, Aspen comes out and, you know, helps her get the eggs and then tells her she's slacking a little bit. The animals are supposed to be fed at the crack of dawn, 7 a.m. This isn't a great situation for Julia, who, you know, she's used to go-go dancing and going to sleep around 7 a.m., waking up, you know, just in time for lunch or so. Anyway, she feeds the goats and doesn't like the smell or the dirt. And then she has to feed the pigs that were such a pain in the butt last time.
Those pigs are so ugly.
She's still very scared of. Freaks out, screams, runs around, lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth and whatnot. Anyway, after a bit of running and screaming, she's done with the pigs. She's a good sport for Aspen, but in the interviews, she makes it pretty clear that she is done with this farm thing. But anyway, the next time we see him, it's already dark out again, and Julia is waiting for Brandon to finally come home so that she can talk to somebody, right? She feels kind of blown off because he comes home and doesn't like come into her room and give her a hug or a kiss or say hi. He just goes into his bedroom and like lays down on the bed. So then Julia comes into his room, and when she comes in, by the way, she passes like a shelf that is just like full of protein powder from top to bottom.
Oh, I thought those were cans of paint. I was very confused.
I thought it was protein powder. I was like, what? This dude's not even that big. Anyway, and tells her, and anyway, she says that today is her last day that she's taking care of the pigs, and she's done with that. Right? That literally that this kind of life is the life of her nightmares, and she wants to go home. I think she said bad dreams, but I was like, she meant the thing of nightmares.
Yes.
Brandon wishes that she would see this as an opportunity and give life on the farm and, you know, give it more of a try. But they don't really have time to talk about it because they're supposed to go out to dinner with his parents and granddad. So altogether, Brandon was home for less than an hour before they leave again. Then they get to Wasabi Sabi, the restaurant where dinner is, and Julia is nervous about the dinner because she doesn't really want to tell Ron and Betty about how much she hated doing everything on the farm. They hear Ron before they see them, and they meet Pop Joe, who's worried that, you know, that Julia might be promising Brandon things like sex that's going to lead him into trouble. At dinner, Betty points out some bite marks on Julia's neck, and it's just an embarrassing time all around. Pop Joe defends Brandon and says, you know, if he had a young girl like that, he would definitely do the same thing.
Oh, God.
They ask.
Gross,
they start
Pop.
They start talking about a wedding date. Well, Pop is definitely old enough. I think he said he was 87. We'll talk about it. They ask about the wedding date, which they have set at May 9th, because the 9th was the first day that Brandon messaged Julia. Of course, Betty knows immediately, without even hesitation, that that's Mother's Day weekend. And so she's pissed. Betty tries to get them to rethink about it, and so does Ron, and move the date so, you know, it wouldn't interfere with Mother's Day every year.
God.
You want to have that day separate, right? Anyway, Brandon, to his credit this time, does take Julia's side and says that if she wants to get married on the 9th, they're going to get married on the 9th. All right. So, a lot of stuff going on in this one. Let's start, because we started talking about, let's start talking about Pop Pop Joe. How do we like Pop Pop Joe?
He's all right. Like, there's anything crazy about Pop Up Joe. But, I mean, when he says that he wants a young thing, I'm going to hope that Pop Up Joe is talking about when he was young as well.
Pop Up Joe, that's what I was trying to get at. He's 87, and he's definitely crossed that line where he's like, you know what? I'm 87. Nobody can tell me to shut up. I'm going to say whatever. I don't care.
His voice is very high-pitched.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. But I don't know. Okay, so lots of things. It was weird. I don't get... It seems very unfair, actually, that Julia comes to this farm day one. Mm-hmm. Everybody else goes to work to their day jobs, not on the farm. And they say, well, you got to take care of the farm. Like, what did they do before she was there?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they just keep doing that for a little while?
I think it's just Aspen, but now they're like, Aspen's getting some reprieve. This whole thing, I feel really bad for Julia. I actually super love Julia and Yara. Like, I feel bad for them that for Yara, she's with a shitty partner, and Julia, she's just in a shitty situation.
Yes.
Like, what? I get it. Julia hates this. She doesn't want to live a life like this.
Right, and it's almost like it goes the other way, right? If you imagine it the other way, there is no way ever that Ron and Betty would give like living in a city and riding the subway to work every day and doing that and walking to the bodega to get the food. There was no way they would ever give that a try, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to say with Betty and Ron, but it's not really their decision anyway. They're not forcing her to do this. If anything,
no, but I guess
it kind of seems like
opposite,
right?
Right.
It seems like they're trying to get rid of her in a lot of ways. But I kind of feel like for her, I hope this isn't the first time she heard about farm living. It just seems to me, why would you want to date Brandon? Like, even now, what is so special about Brandon that she can't get somewhere else? Somewhere better.
Yeah, I mean, he is
better.
Someone better. I mean, yeah, I feel like there are other... Because he seems... And it's funny is the thing, he gives off the impression of being kind of wholesome. Like, right? He has that aesthetic about it. I don't know that he necessarily is. I think there's a lot of shitty things that he does and a lot of, like, just getting away with stuff, and I'm not going to talk about it, which I think is a big part of the issue. I do not think she knew at all what she was getting into because Brandon did not share that with her, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. It's really, it was like, and it was really shitty of him to leave on her first full day at the farm, leave before she wakes up, come home, and doesn't even say hi.
Right.
Like,
no, absolutely.
That's shitty.
No, yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I kind of feel like I can see how she thought he was super adorable, super cute, right? And I feel like it's certainly carried them so far, right? But the more he does stuff like this, the more that, he's kind of forcing her to be in this situation where she hates her life, it's like he's going to start to look real ugly real fast. He's going to start looking like those pigs.
Yeah, that's true. Right. I didn't. So I mean, but you're right in that it's not him, and he did take her side on the wedding date thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that earned him some points of being like they were really trying to convince him to move it, and he was like, "No, if she wants the 9th, she gets the 9th." He didn't like hem and haw and be like, "Are you still sure about the 9th?" And then say if she wants the 9th. He was like, "That's what she wants. That's what she gets."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially because Betty and Mother's Day, like that they tried to frame it that it made him not sound selfish, but she was like, but that's my day. You're trying to take my day.
Yeah, your day once every 6 to 7 years.
Why does Betty only get Mother's Day every 6 or 7 years?
No, because so Mother's Day, it would be the 9th on a Sunday every 6 to 7 years, because Mother's Day is always on a Sunday.
Yes. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's like every 6 to 7 years, then you would have to worry about Mother's Day being on the same day as their anniversary.
you know that Betty is
She makes it Mother's Day month.
Yeah, she is like, this is Mother's Day week, and I want something every. You know this, like, come on, because even this one was like, that's the day before Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. Like, it was Mother's Day was on the 10th, right? And she was like, that wasn't. So she wasn't like that was Mother's Day. She was like, that's Mother's Day weekend.
Right?
How are you going to take Mother's Day weekend?
Oh,
like,
my
just
goodness.
get away from that at all. And like, so it was like, that was really gross. I thought it was super gross.
Yeah. Can we talk about hickeys and biting in general? Is that still a thing? I feel like it's super retro. Who's getting anything from that?
I don't know. I think the biting is a little excessive. Like hickeys and stuff, you know, I guess some people just get marks on their skin super easy. Like, because some people, you really got to be going at it for a long time for there to be a hickey or a mark there.
I don't know. That's just weird to me. Why are you sucking on your neck? I don't know. It seems odd. I was going to say parts, but then I was like, oh, well.
Well, there's other parts that get sucked on. There's other parts people enjoy getting sucked on, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's weird to focus in on one specific area so long that it leaves a mark.
That to me is super bizarre, right? Speaking of bizarre, what I also thought was bizarre is, did you check out his car? That is not a farm car.
No. It was funny because I had to go. I watched it a couple times because I couldn't tell what kind of car it was.
Oh, I could tell because my friend has that car. It's a little bit older of a model, but it's like a Nissan 350Z, or it could be a 370Z, but like the Z series.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a minute to figure out. I obviously when they got to the restaurant, I was like, oh, but in the dark I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I could tell. Very distinctive tail lights, and like I said, I have a couple friends that have that car.
Oh yeah, they people around here don't drive those. It's the kind of car that, like, I don't know, it just seems like, and it would stick out here, right? It does stick out here. He's not that far away from where I am, and it just it does, because people hear it all about, like, there's not very many sports cars or cars that look like sports cars here.
Right.
Rich people here tend to get the luxury SUVs and stuff.
Oh, sure.
Right, they go for those. So that one would it would stand out. But yes, definitely not a farm car.
No, not a farm car. Like, and I'm not even saying about how much it is, because you don't know. Especially that body style hasn't really changed much. Because my friend had that early 2000s.
Okay, so I always thought of that one. Okay, to me, from the early 2000s, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
It looks like Nissan was trying to make a knockoff of the Audi TT.
I want to say that came out before the TT.
Really?
Like that style, yeah. Because I think
what
my
I
friend bought
associate
it in
with
2003, 2004, and they had just redid the body. Here we go. I'm going off on a tangent again. But the body really hasn't changed much, because I was saying then my friend got it more recently, like within 5 years, and the body pretty much looked the same. I mean, they've done a little bit of difference, but still pretty much the same. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Now that we've tangented again on that, maybe it's time to
we're very
go to our
unfocused
closing.
today.
I know.
Who is your student of the week?
I definitely went. This was one week where I went through the list and I was like, oh, I didn't like this about them. I didn't like this about them. I didn't like this about them. So I went with Zied for being the least objectionable, for not doing anything terrible. He looked good. I mean, he did clean up nice. I'll give him that.
Well, in general, I mean, everyone's been saying total glow up this season.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Managed to go to the airport without a thing with Rebecca's face on it.
Oh, God,
so,
yes. That's
upgrade.
a major improvement. Yes, so if anything, most improved Zied.
Yes.
So I just gave my student of the week to Yara, because I really, really like her. The more I see her, in this episode, I had a lot of empathy for her situation. It made me realize how she is just in a different class altogether than Jovi, and it's like, this girl is very classy. She's funny. Like, he should, be blessing, or like feeling blessed every day he is with this woman.
She's funny. Like you said, she's self-aware. Like she knows what's going on. Like, very good.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. I don't want to feel like we're just gonna bounce back and forth between Julia and Yara for like.
I know, because I like them both. They're so likable. And what I think is kind of interesting about it is, it really could go either way. I found with the Ukrainian Russian women that tend to be on this show. You know, there's definitely Matt and Alla. Alla was just also an angel, but like it's really hit or miss with the Ukrainian.
One thing I would
Russian
say
women.
about the Russian and the Ukrainian women is they don't mince words and they just tell you things like that. Just and a lot of times it comes off as way too blunt and way too like forward when they're saying things like, You're like, this is dumb. I think this is dumb. Like. That, you know, and but they're certainly like brutally with their brutal with their honesty.
Right. Yeah, because like I said, you got Lala on one end and you got Anfisa on the other end. You know,
sure.
So it's it's kind of hit or miss on the show.
The one thing you can't fault Anfisa with is she never made any bones about who exactly she was.
Right.
There was never any deception there. It was right out there the whole time.
Yeah. All right. What about your dunce?
Jovi. Like,
I know, right?
Just Jovi. I mean, I get the things that I can't about. I have to go to work, so you're okay in this foreign country without your passport, right? Like, and then going back and be like, well, let me tell you what really happened. I left her in a foreign country without a passport. I just didn't know she needed surgery. Like,
it's like that doesn't make it that much better.
Not that much better, man. Like that, and the whole like just. Basically telling her, oh yeah, I want to have kids so I can come and hang out with them every 4 weeks. And
that's what it sounds like.
Like it definitely sounds like I want to be like kid. I want to be my kid's cool uncle. That way. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
What about yours?
My dunce was Mike.
Okay.
I just kind of feel like he isn't respecting Natalie and her wishes and considering her views. As dumb as an example as this is, but like him lighting the firecrackers when even she was like objecting, the fact that he's saying that, he wants to do this new diet thing and then not, like drinking in front of her. And it's like, I get that you have differing views and I get that you want to be you, but it's like, you're not even having these conversations with her. It's like almost like he's doing it to spite her or to like throw it in her face. I'm going to do what I want to do and you can't tell me otherwise. Yeah,
I thought it was really bad, especially like the meat. Okay, maybe a misunderstanding, but with the second meal, when he got the beer, like, dude, you can go one meal at a restaurant without a beer. Like, that's okay. Like, especially when he had a whole big thing about it last time. Like,
right.
And it just, it definitely is like throwing it in her face. So that's not bad. But so my life lesson ties in with them. Mm-hmm. And that it's more of a life lesson directed at Natalie, because it's like you have to really self-assess about your deal breakers, right? Because I really think vegetarianism is a deal breaker for her.
It seems like it is.
And like, you can't have a deal breaker and then just expect that the other person is going to modify themselves to meet your deal breaker. Like,
right.
It's called a deal breaker because it breaks the deal. Like, that's it.
Yeah. So my life lesson is inspired by Jovi and Yara. So fights are rarely about a specific series of events or how you remember them. There's an underlying reason, so fighting about facts oftentimes is pointless.
Right. It wasn't about the specific facts.
No.
That's not why it came up.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's definitely that it's how you made me feel. Like by leaving, whenever you did leave,
you made me feel abandoned.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so this group continues on next week. Oh, actually, I guess we should probably say something about the new Discovery Plus. Did you watch the preview for the Bears All situation?
I certainly did not.
So I watched it, and they really only focused on Brandon and Julia, and they were very careful about not doing anything to spoil anything. But what I did think was interesting is... and I don't know if they did this intentionally, but Betty and Ron made a comment about, well, you aren't married. So almost
Oh.
like, but like I said, it could just be that they're trying not to spoil anything. Maybe, and we don't even have a timeline on when this interview happened. So it could have happened, a while ago, and they're just
They could have been doing it. They could have done it contemporaneously with the filming. Sure.
But to be honest, that was the only kind of,
I mean, that's why I didn't watch it. It's like we always complain so much about the tell-alls.
Yes.
And this just felt like already like tell part of the story. Like that's where we are. Like,
right. They did kind of talk about there were a couple moments where Brandon and Julia were kind of like things that weren't shown, but I mean, not like if it was significant, they would have shown it, right? So just these little conversations, and Ron and Betty being like, "What? You guys think that? What? You're gonna sneak around? What? So
oh my
like
God!
some
Who would have
reaction
thought
stuff on that. But
the two horny 20-year-olds in our house would sneak around?
God, I know, right? Yeah. Betty did not do the best job at kind of defending that either. I mean, her defense was that she didn't want therapy for the rest of her life by hearing it.
Like, that's not even, like, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
it's just weird. Like, you're a grown person. Like, you know what happens. Like, come on.
So I could say with confidence that I'm not getting Discovery Plus, and so...
Yeah, I'm not getting Discovery Plus either, so we will be skipping that thing.
Yes. But if someone likes to donate
their
Discovery Plus subscription, then maybe we can include it. But other than that, I'm not that bothered.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So until next week, then, we'll just cover the 90 Day Fiancé next episode.
That's right. We'll see everybody then.
See you then.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good.